everyone, I'm Miranda and welcome to an extra video this week. I hope you've all been having a wonderful start to the week. I'm actually filming this on a Sunday morning, and I thought over the autumn and into winter I would sometimes share an extra video with you all because this really is my favourite season and it's lovely to share some extra content this time of year. I'm not someone who can do vlogmas every day like some YouTubers do, but I thought starting over the autumn and winter to sometimes share an extra video would be really nice. So I hope you enjoy this extra one. I really wanted to have a bit of a cozy bookish catch up this morning. I've been reading quite a lot lately and there's some books I want to tell you about, but also what we're going to do today, because it is quite grey and rainy outside, so it's not a day to do anything outdoors, but what we do want to do is go to Saltaire and to Salt's Mill, which we've been to before. It's an amazing place in Yorkshire. Saltaire is, I think, actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's an amazing example of a Victorian industrial village. And Salt's Mill is a converted old textile mill. It's absolutely fascinating. They have art displays, like there's a David Hockney art show that we want to see on at the moment, and it's about his house in Normandy and his paintings on his iPad of the house and the landscape all through the seasons. We've seen one Hockney exhibition at Salt's Mill before and it was amazing, so we really wanted to go back and see this, so I'm excited about that. And there's an amazing bookshop in Salt's Mill too, so that probably won't come as a surprise to any of you that I love the bookshop there. It's really big and they have a great sort of range of books, so I really want to go and browse. I'm not sure, to be honest, if I'll buy anything because I've had a lot of books arrive that I pre-ordered. I have a lot of the books that I want already for this season, so I don't know if there'll be anything I want to buy, but I love to go and to just browse, and they have nice stationery there as well, so I always like to have a look at that. There's also a little antique shop. There's a whole range of things to do in Salt's Mill. It is a great place for a rainy day because you can just go and almost spend the whole day, or at least a whole afternoon, kind of browsing, seeing some art, doing some shopping. There's a restaurant as well. So it's a nice place. And I remember the last time we went, which was a couple of years ago now, that there was in this antique shop a little section where they had quite a lot of pool pottery. And I couldn't afford to get anything at the time, but I'm hoping there might be a little something I can pick up today. We'll see, because you know how much I love pool pottery. I mean, they might not have any anymore because this was a while ago that we went, but I'm hoping they will. So we'll see. I'm excited to maybe do a little bit of antique shopping as well. And I wanted to bring you along because it really is a fascinating village and it's something that's worth seeing if you're in the area, and Salt's Mill is definitely worth visiting. So we're going to do that this afternoon, but first I just wanted to make a cup of tea and have a little bit of a bookish catch up with you. So I'm going to go do that now, make myself a cup of tea, gather my books together that I want to chat to you about, and then yes, have a nice cozy chat. So just before I share my recent reads with you, I'm really happy to say that I have a new offer code for high definition lights by Serious Readers. I'm delighted to say that Serious Readers are sponsoring today's video. You may remember that I worked with Serious Readers quite a bit last winter. I got this high definition floor light last November. It's an amazing reading light. I've been enjoying using it ever since. So I'm so happy to have a new offer code, which is SR420. And if you use that offer code, then you'll get £100 off any of the Serious Readers high definition lights. And you'll also get free international shipping. So what I'm really noticing lately is how much darker and longer the evenings are getting already as we move into autumn. And having a great reading light is so important to me for my evening routine because I read mainly in the evenings. That's a time that I use to unwind, and my favorite way to unwind is definitely with a good book. I always read physical books too because my eyes get very tired looking at screens all day. So I don't want to read on a screen, I want to read with a physical book. But that means that I like to have a really great reading light. So I absolutely love my high definition floor light from Serious Readers. I went with the cordless option because I can move it around then to wherever I want. For instance, if I'm reading or journaling in the evenings in my bedroom, I can have the light up there, or I can bring it back downstairs when I'm reading in my armchair in the evenings. My mum actually loves to read on a Kindle, but whenever she does read a physical book, I tend to lend her my Serious light because she loves using it then as well. But what's special about these high definition lights is that they feature daylight wavelength technology, which replicates the daylight spectrum as closely as technically possible. So when I'm reading with this light, I really feel like I'm reading in a pool of natural light, and that helps so much with eye strain, and it makes the reading experience so much more pleasant for me. I can also adjust the width of the beam of the light as well as the brightness levels, so I get just the right amount of light that's good for me. So if you'd also like a great reading light, then do take advantage of my offer code. Again, that is SR420 for £100 off any of the high definition lights and free international delivery. By the way, if you're ordering internationally, then it's really good to know that Serious Readers adjust the plugs on their lights so that they will fit the socket of your country. Both my dad and my grandmother have a high definition light from Serious Readers. They took advantage of my offer code last winter, and they live in New York and Canada respectively. So if you are ordering internationally, then I think that's really handy to know. Anyway, I'll put the offer code and all of the relevant information and links in the video description box down below, so you can check out all of the details there. But now let's get on to my recent reads. Okay, so I've had a bit of a rearrange and gathered together my pile of books. There are quite a few I want to talk to you about, but let's start with the ones that I've read and am also currently reading. So I reread A Home for All Seasons very recently. This is a brilliant book by Gavin Plumley, and I've actually chosen this book for November's Comfort Book Club discussion. And I first read it last autumn, but I interviewed Gavin just last week about the book because I wanted to share a conversation with him at the same time as we have a discussion about the book for the Comfort Book Club. I thought that would be a nice touch if our interview goes up in November. So I wanted to reread the book because I wanted to have it fresh in my mind for the interview. And then of course I'll be rereading it again in November, so it's fresh in my mind for the Comfort Book Club. But fortunately I do really like the book, so it'll be nice to come back to it again. And it's so rich, there's so much you can take away from it that it actually is a good one to reread because it's just packed full of such a wealth of detail that there was a lot more I noticed on this rereading. It's a really fascinating mix of genre, this book. It's part memoir, it's part cultural and social history, it's part domestic history because it really focuses on a history of a specific house and place as well. There's lovely nature writing in it too. You get a real sense of place from this book, which I love. And there's also a lot about art in the book as well. And that's one of the reasons I like it so much, because I'm so interested in art. So Gavin Plumley himself is a cultural historian, and he brings so much of his knowledge to this book. But as I said, it's part memoir, so it's really about Gavin and his husband Alistair purchasing this lovely old home in Pembridge. And they get asked a question by the insurance company. The question is, how old is the house? And they don't really have a good answer to that question, and Gavin decides to investigate. And this investigation leads him into so many interesting paths, discovering the history of the house and of Pembridge itself, and how this local history actually relates to the global history of the age. So he's not able to find a specific date in which the house was originally built, but he does dates it to being most likely from the end of the 1500s, so the end of the 16th century. And I just found this such an interesting read. Like I said, it was one I've actually enjoyed coming back to and rereading, because there's so much about history, so much about art, things that I never really knew about as well. So yeah, there's just so much to enjoy from this one. You can see I've made quite a few markings, bits I want to remember. So yes, it was really fun to return to this one, and Gavin was so lovely to chat to as well. I can't wait to share that interview in November. I'm sure you'll all really enjoy it. So yes, I read that one. And then I read Impossible Creatures by Catherine Rundell. I'm such a fan of her work. She's written an extraordinary range of books already. She's well known as a children's book writer. Rooftoppers is one of her most famous books. But she's also written children's picture books. There's a lovely Christmas one that she wrote that's illustrated by Emily Sutton that's a real favourite of mine. I think it's called A Christmas Wish, something like that. And then she wrote The Golden Mole, which is a nature book I raved about last year, really brilliant. She's written an incredible biography of John Donne, and that's really her sort of specialist subject. But now she's brought out a new children's book, Impossible Creatures, and I mean, you can see from the Michael Morpurgo quote on the front, there was Tolkien, there is Pullman, and now there is Catherine Rundell. There's been a lot of excitement about this book, and I did really enjoy it. It's such a page turner from the very opening, and honestly, I think this is one of the best openings. It begins with the beginning, which is very appropriate. It was a very fine day until something tried to eat him. It was a black, dog-like creature, but it was not like any dog he had ever seen. It had teeth as long as his arm and claws that could tear apart an oak tree. It says, therefore, a great deal in Christopher Forrester's favour that he refused, with speed and cunning and courage, to be eaten. Isn't that a great opening? And then the very next page is the beginning elsewhere. And it starts, it was a very fine day until somebody tried to kill her. I think any child would want to keep reading with that opening, and I think any adult, frankly, would as well. And like I said, this is so fast-paced, it is such a page turner, and it's such an imaginative book. I love the very beginning, which has a bestiary showing all of the magical creatures that are found in the pages of this book, and they have wonderful illustrations next to every entry. And it's just so imaginative. It's all about a young boy, Christopher, who discovers an entranceway into a magical world that humans can't see and don't have access to. But he is the grandson of a guardian to this entranceway, and so he is able to access this magical world. And there he finds a young girl in trouble, Mal, who asks him to come back with her and to help her in this world. Her great aunt has just been killed, and someone is trying to hunt down and kill Mal. And she doesn't know why. So Christopher agrees to help, and they begin this journey full of adventure, full of magical creatures. It's a very moving book in places too. And one thing I would say about it is if you have quite a young child reading it, sort of 8 to 9, I could imagine myself reading this at 8 or 9 years old and really enjoying it. But it does explore some sad themes as well. And I would just be aware of that myself. If you're a parent, you might want to read the book first so that then you would know how to talk about it with your child. The ending is really moving, but quite shocking in some ways too. And I think it's a good one to talk with your children about. So I would say that about it. But it's really such a good story. I think it would really grip any child, and I thoroughly enjoyed it myself. And then next, I enjoyed reading All Creatures Great and Small so much for the August Comfort Book Club read that I actually read the next in the series, All Things Bright and Beautiful. I read this through listening to it as an audiobook, and it was a reread in that way for me because I've listened to these audiobooks so many times, but it was such a pleasure to stay in the world of James Herriot that bit longer and enjoy all of the stories collected in this volume as well. I just love his books so much. They are so funny, such lovely cozy reads, and yes, I really enjoyed reading this one again too. And then of course I read Goodbye Mr. Chips for the September Comfort Book Club. I won't say more about this because I just published our discussion of the book, but I will say if you've never read it, then I think it's such a poignant, wonderful story. It's exquisitely written. It's about a retired Latin master, and it's a series of memories that he looks back on in his old age. It tells the story of his life, and it's just incredibly moving, incredibly touching. So it's really slim and easy to read. So definitely one to pick up if you've never read it before. And then I was really lucky to be sent a press copy of one of the new Persephone books that's coming out in October. The one they sent me is Out of the Window by Madeline Linford, and I'm about halfway through it already. I just sat down with it one evening and then had read quite a lot of it before I even knew the time had gone, which shows that I'm enjoying it a lot so far. And it is a fascinating read. I think it was very ahead of its time. It was first published in 1930. And it's about a young girl who's living in a village in Cheshire. She's from a very affluent middle-class background, but she happens to meet a young man who is from a very working-class background, and he's based in Manchester. And they fall in love and decide to get married, much to the despair of both of their families, neither of which approve of the match at all, though for different reasons. At the heart of this book is this question of, is it enough to marry someone because you are strongly sexually attracted to them? Now, I think many of us know that that's not the best basis for marriage. There should be a bit more to it than that. So I don't think the marriage is going to go too well in this book, but I haven't finished it yet, so we'll see. But that's the sort of central theme in many ways, but it also explores social class and inequality, and a lot of the domestic female issues that Persephone books so often look at. It looks at women's worlds in terms of how limited their choices so often are and how defined those choices are by the men in their lives as well. So I'm really enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to reading the rest of it. And then I am also reading this book at the moment, The Theft of the Iron Dogs, a Lancashire mystery by E.C.R. Lorac. I was doing pretty well with this, and then I had to put it down, I think, because I was reading A Home for All Seasons. So I need to come back and just finish this book. I have to say the mystery isn't entirely gripping me, but I am still enjoying it. And what I'm especially enjoying actually are all the descriptions of Lancashire I think ECR Lorac loved the area herself. She had family, I think, in the area, and she'd visit them. And there are some really beautiful descriptions of Lancashire, and it's set in September. So it's been lovely reading this in September. And that reminds me too, if you would like some autumnal book recommendations and autumnal literary inspiration from me, then don't forget to download my free Autumn Commonplace book. You'll find the link for it in the description box. But yes, this is one that I've been really enjoying as a seasonal reading choice. Like I said, I kind of enjoy some of the interactions between the characters, especially between a local farmer in this book and the police inspector from London. That's quite entertaining, and I love the descriptions of the landscape. So far the mystery isn't like riveting me, but it's just a gentle read that I'm enjoying. And then I've actually been dipping a lot into this poetry book. So it's called The Ink Dark Moon, and it's a collection of poems by two Japanese female writers, Ono no Kamachi and Izumi Shikibu. And the translator, I think there are two translators. So it's translated by Jane Hirschfield with Mariko Aratani. And I'm really enjoying them. I think these poems are over 1,000 years old, which is mind-blowing because they have in so many ways very modern themes. They're mainly about love, either forgotten love or fulfilled love or unfulfilled love. But there are some beautiful references to the seasons as well. I've been marking a lot of them related to autumn at the moment. And yes, they're just really beautiful and you can read them very quickly, but you also want to linger over each one. Short as it is, you do want to take your time and really appreciate the sentences because there's just so much contained within so little with this. So I've been really enjoying this lately. And then the other book I am currently reading is Helen Rebank's The Farmer's Wife, My Life in Days, which is a memoir about a farmer's wife who lives in the Lake District. And so far I am really enjoying it. It's such an interesting memoir. I would love to explore more of the Lake District, so I'm really enjoying reading about life living there and about farm life too. I'm finding that very interesting. But there's also a lot about Helen's childhood and early womanhood, and then her feelings of being a mother, being a wife, and her sort of place in this world. And really good writing. There's some recipes as well that are mixed into the book, which I also like. So yes, I'm still enjoying this one too. So that's what I've read and what I'm reading at the moment. And then I also wanted to just show you some books that have arrived recently. So I was sent a press copy of this book, Promise, by Rachel Eliza Griffiths, which sounds really interesting. It says, "The people of Salt Point are afraid of the world beyond their rural town. Most of them are born, live and die, never having gone more than 20 or 30 miles from houses that are crammed with generations of their families. But something shifts at the end of summer 1957. Change makes its way to Salt Point. The kindred sisters, Ezra and Cynthia, grew up with an abundance of love. Love from their parents who let them believe that the stories they tell on stars can come true. Love from their neighbours, the Junkets, the only other black family in town, whose home is filled with spice-rubbed ribs and ground-shaking hugs. And love for their adopted hometown of Salt Point, a beautiful New England village perched high up on coastal bluffs. But as the girls hit adolescence and the news from distant parts of the country fills with calls for racial justice, their white neighbours begin to see them as a threat. Amidst escalating fear and violence, bold Ezra and watchful Cynthia must find the strength to resist and survive. Promise is a book that will break your heart and then rebuild it with courage, hope, and love. So I've heard such good things about this book. It's had lots of good reviews and I was thrilled to be sent a copy. So I'm looking forward to reading this one as well. And then this is a book that I got just recently, A Book to Brighten Your Day by Murphy's Sketches. I discovered Murphy's Sketches on Instagram not that long ago, and I really loved her little whimsical artworks and positive messages. And I got her book, which I think only very recently came out. And there's a bit of a seasonal bent to what she does as well, which I really like. But her drawings and her writing are very much about enjoying things cozy, finding the positive. So yes, I just think it's really sweet and whimsical. So I got this one. And then I'd ordered this book, An Almost Impossible Thing, The Radical Lives of Britain's Pioneering Women Gardeners by Fiona Davidson, which sounds fascinating. I'm quite interested in learning more about the first real female gardeners in Britain, and I think this just looks fascinating. I can't wait to read this one. And then I read some really good reviews of this book, Norse Woods by Daniel Mason. Let me know if any of you have read it, because I think this one has been out for a little while now. I'm really looking forward to getting to it myself. It just sounds really fascinating. And then finally, another non-fiction book that I had on pre-order and I'm really excited to have got is Jobs for the Girls by Ascenda Maxstone Graham, How We Set Out to Work in the Typewriter Age. I really enjoy Ascenda Maxstone Graham's books. I interviewed her when Terms and Conditions, her books about boarding schools and what real boarding schools were like in Britain. I interviewed her when that first came out, which was a few years ago now. And she was so lovely, and I still love that book. It's just so interesting. And then she wrote British Summertime Begins, all about British summertimes and how much they have changed. So I've been really looking forward to this new book by her. She writes in such an interesting way about social history, and I think this will be a book that I'll really enjoy. So I can't wait to dig into this one. But anyway, I just wanted to share all of these books with you, lots of good ones that I've thoroughly enjoyed reading and I'm really looking forward to read. But the day's getting on, so we better get on to Saltaire now, and I'll bring you along with us. So we just had a really fabulous time at Salts Mill, didn't we?
It was wonderful. I can't recommend it highly enough for a fun, sort of, especially a rainy afternoon. It's absolutely wonderful to go there.
It really is. We love the bookshop. It's so big.
It is.
And it's great to browse. They've got nice stationery as well. And the antique shop is lovely. We actually did get a little something.
Yes, somebody's early birthday present, or a little one anyway.
Yes. You might have seen they had a little bit of pool pottery. I tried to film a bit, and I couldn't resist one of the vases, which you very kindly got for me.
It's lovely.
Early birthday. It's actually a jam pot.
It is, it without the lid. So,
yes.
But it's absolutely perfect for a little posy. I think you'll really enjoy using it.
Yes. So
yes.
It was this one.
It's very old pool pottery, that. It's when it was still Carter, Stabler and Adams, I think, was it?
I think so.
What does it say on the bottom?
It's from the 1920s.
Yeah.
Yes, it says Carter, Stabler, Adams, Limited, Pool, England.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yes, I think this one's from the 1920s.
It's
I
that
love
red
the really
clay.
old
I love
ones.
that. I love them.
Yeah, so absolutely delighted. And yes,
good.
It'll have a new life as a little vase rather than a jam pot.
Yeah, well, we could always use it as a jam pot too if we felt so inclined, but I love it without.
Yes. So I was absolutely thrilled. Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
And
the highlight was the art. They have on the very top, I must say that you go up in the lift, but then you've still got to go up 2 more stairs, haven't you? And I was thinking like flights of stairs. It wasn't bad, but I was thinking, I hope this will be worth it. And oh my goodness, was it ever? Yeah, it was amazing. It's called A Year in Normandy.
Yes, it's David Hockney's exhibition, A Year in Normandy, and he's done all of the artwork on his iPad, and you just walk along and see it.
It's amazing.
All together. It is amazing.
Yeah.
It's really, really special. So I'm so glad we got to it. It's on until the end of October.
Yeah.
And if you're in the area, I really recommend seeing it. We just loved it, didn't we?
We did. We really loved it.
It was the highlight
amazing.
for you.
Definitely for me.
Yeah,
It really
I mean for
was.
me too. I think with my pool pottery.
Absolutely beautiful, and you could sit and really look at it, and that's always so special as well.
Yes, you enjoyed doing that, didn't you? We loved the autumn scenes in particular.
They were amazing. I think as we're seeing it as we drive along now, it's just so special.
It is.
Yeah.
And then we got a few things in the bookshop, although we didn't actually get any books.
I know. I
amazingly.
don't know how we've had such a few come, that we've really been enjoying.
Yes,
so.
we sort of had a lot on pre-order.
Can I say I was
we?
tempted to that advent calendar, only it did feel just a little bit too early to be thinking about the C word now.
Yeah. They will probably regret it, but
probably, but never mind.
But we did get some cards.
Yeah.
So previously we've been to Salts Mill before, and we saw an exhibition of Simon Palmer's artwork
a couple of years ago now.
Yes, and that was amazing.
Really, he's a Yorkshire artist, I believe.
Yes, and we saw some of his Yorkshire paintings, but I didn't get this card, I don't think, the last time, and it's so autumnal and just perfect, so I picked that up. And then I got this little postcard from the David Hockney exhibition.
Yes.
And then I did also get a poster featuring Simon Palmer. I just love that, especially as it says Salt Mill, Yorkshire at the bottom.
Yeah.
I think if I ever move away from Yorkshire, this will be a fabulous memory.
Yes, absolutely. It's beautiful, isn't it?
It's just so beautiful. For an autumn baby, I think, this this
true.
poster's hard to resist. I just love that Yorkshire perspective.
Absolutely gorgeous.
So I was thrilled to just get that as well.
Yeah, we'll have to get that framed. So
we will have to get it framed
because I want. Good shape.
Just try and slide it back in carefully.
Yeah, well done.
So yes, I was really, really thrilled with the day. It was lovely.
It was lovely, and I think by the time we actually get home, it'll probably be dark.
Yes, I think so. So
Yes.
looking forward to having a quiet evening.
Yeah.
So I'm going to finish the vlog here. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little extra video this week. Don't forget to have a look in the video description box where I've put all of the relevant links, including links to Salts Mill and also the Serious Readers offer code and the link for that there. And yeah, all the books mentioned and everything. So have a look in the video description box. But thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.